Good morning, everyone, and welcome to American Scousers Morning Coffee. And I got it going right here. I got what is this today? Dad's the boss. Yeah,
Boss
so
Dad.
part of so about the my greatest dad's collection. But yeah, we got that going in coffee. Trevor's with us as always with his water seltzer.
Yeah.
Either or, they're both clear, so we don't care.
Yeah. No.
And joining us today, we have a special guest from Jamaica. We have Kendrick, who is from the YNWA Jamaica group, and they're actually working on becoming an official supporter club in Jamaica, right?
That's correct. Pleased
Awesome.
to be here
Welcome
with
to
you,
the
gentlemen.
show, sir. Welcome to the show. We're hoping to have you guys on regularly, especially during the World Cup and stuff. I think it's interesting to get a different take from us bozos over here on this side of the world. So, and actually, that was shocking. We were talking about before the show that there is no, as big of a soccer country as it is, that
and
there
so
is
many
no official group.
Yes, and there are so many Jamaicans who've played for Liverpool.
Yes.
So, I mean, John Barnes being the most famous, even though he played for England. John Barnes was born here in Jamaica, lived there for most of his child life. Raheem Sterling as well. So these are persons that we know personally, and we would see them from time to time interacting with us on the street. You would imagine that it's only natural that Liverpool has an official club in Jamaica, but it hasn't happened yet. But we hope to fix that within the near future.
Nice. Yeah, you guys have all the paperwork, all the process going, and yeah, it does take some time. I know Jamie from our group from the Thursday podcast. They've been working on Wilmington for a while, and they're finally becoming official. Alan is with us as always this morning. Good morning, Alan. Alan is the tea guy. Kendrick, what do we have over there? Tea, coffee, water? What do you got?
Well, I'm a coffee guy. I had my coffee early this morning, and I'm finishing up my large bottle of water here.
Yeah, see, that's what I.
Yeah, team water. Let's fucking go.
Yes.
Hey, he said he already had coffee, damn it.
Yes, and it's pretty hot.
He plays for both sides over here.
Split allegiances. No.
Sparky Parky, good morning, sir. Okay, so got a couple of things to get to. Let's start with the Carabao Cup matchup. When I heard it, I did not know which way to go. I did not watch it live or anything afterwards. Like I found out like an hour or so later, I think, when people were talking about it on the Discord channel. And Alan says Jamaican rum, so Alan is not buying the water story there, Kendrick, so that you know. Okay, so City, Liverpool, Trevor, what do you say? Happy, unhappy? What the fuck? Where are you at in the scale?
It's easily the worst case scenario, obviously. and you're sitting there going, as the draw's coming out, and you just see all these Premier League clubs getting matched up with all the lower league opposition. You're going, shit, we're getting City, aren't we? And I think that morning I had talked to go, if we can get to like the semifinals, just playing the kids, that would be fantastic. If you get knocked out at any point, as long as they're getting playing time. Now you're kind of forced to break that strategy, and that kind of aggravates me more than anything, because Pep isn't going to throw out the kids per se for this game. And even if he doesn't have a full strength roster, if there's still people working their way back from the World Cup, if they advance far into the tournament, I don't see this being a fun time. more than anything, it's going to just be one of those things where you want to have that optimism, but why couldn't we have that optimism in the quarterfinals or the semifinals, or oh my god, actually the final? No,
or that,
yeah. Where can I just get Lincoln, please? Just please, no. All right,
that's what I was kind of hoping for,
corner.
just for the sake of playing the kids. Kendrick, you see the City matchup. What do you think?
Well, I think that the timing of that match with City could not come at a worse time. December 20th. That's in the most congested part of the season, when we're thinking about the Christmas run. That is usually congested already, like 3 or 4 games in a 1 week span. You're going to throw this game of this magnitude in that period. I don't think either club will be looking forward to it. I know we're not looking forward to playing City at that point in time. They're not looking forward to playing us at that point in time either. So that is my bright side. from that they're not looking forward to playing us either. So, and I think they would have a lot more to lose than we do. So from that perspective, I think we'll have that slight edge there in terms of psychological edge going into
Yeah,
that
I
game.
think, Sparky says you have to beat whoever if you're going to win it, which I do agree, but why play him right away, for one? And two, I think my biggest thing of the Carbo Cup was being able to get these kids more playing time. And like Trevor is saying, that kind of came to like an abrupt end. Because I mean, you might throw a couple of the kids in there, but you're not going to see a lineup like we just did. Whereas you might
You're not
have
going to
seen
see
them
Leighton
against
Stewart.
like Gillingham or
against
Lincoln and
City.
stuff like that. Yeah, you would see Leighton. I don't think you're seeing that now. Maybe you're seeing Bajcetic out there, but you're not seeing some of the other kids out there.
No.
Trevor, when we were talking on the Discord channel yesterday, Megan, who's one of our regular contributors, and she runs our Instagram account, she was actually talking about the fact that the way, due to City having more people in the World Cup and this being right after the World Cup, Pep would not field the full squad either. So it would be, in some ways, the best time to face City. What do you say about that? You buying this, Trevor?
They
I think
have
it's a good case, but
they have 11 backups that aren't going to the World Cup either. That would beat half the league in its own right. And I get it. It's one of those things, yeah, where you're trying to like look at the sunny side, and it's not a bad time to face them. And like Kendrick said, they coming off of all that time off, and a lot of their guys are going to be coming back with really tired legs, so they're not going to be super enthused to deal with our pressing either. It's not something as if there's uh, like mutually assured destruction or anything, but it is something where like it goes back to what I was saying about the Champions League. Like, oh, why don't you just rip the Band-Aid off of Real Madrid now? Because like, no, I'd like to progress a little further. I'd like to have an easy road. I don't care. I'm shameless. If I could just beat every bad team and win a title, go for it. I don't care. I don't. I'm not.
it's like
on the
morning
field.
confessions. I'm shameless.
I don't care. I genuinely have no shame in saying that. I'm not. I don't have a fighter's mentality if I always want to beat the best. I want to see my team hoist the trophy at the end, and if it's facing League One opposition the entire way, so be it. I don't. I have
Yeah,
So
if we're
be it.
doing,
no
if we're
qualms
I'm with
doing
you on
about
morning
that, Trevor.
confessions,
I'm
I
with
think
you. I'm with
going
you on
to be
that, Trevor.
doing
I'm with you on that.
yes, right. I mean, asking like Kendrick. I mean, would you rather take the? I mean, I'm like that too. I know. Or is this something we say when the tough matchup comes up? Like, I think. See, I want to know, like, if Sparky really wanted City to start with, or now that we get a matchup like that. Obviously, you kind of make the silver lining to yourself. You're like, well, to be the best, you got to beat the best and stuff like that, and keep going that way. But
That's a
in any
fallacy.
sports, right, it doesn't matter if it's football here or any kind of playoffs, you're always looking for like the most favorable matchup, and usually
Exactly.
obviously that's the weaker team. Or do you say, you know what, bring him on, I want to beat the top guy all the way up the field?
I don't think, as I said before, I don't think City wants to play us anyway. I mean, City, they know that whenever they play us, they really do have a game on their hands. We've beat them early on this season, and they may want to come to prove a point in that game. Would that help them to do that, to try to really go all out to win that game against us? It may not serve them too well. So I think they might be tempted to rest some of their guys as well. And I think if they rest some of their top guns, I think we can take them out. As a matter of fact, I want to go on record right now that I think we take City out in that game. So write it down.
Look at that, man. Kendrick
Right
makes an
down.
appearance and making
like
bold
this guy.
predictions. Yeah, I don't know. It's too early to see what the hell, because we don't know who's going to be back. I mean, it's almost like the early part. Like, would Diaz be back, even be available, even be risked? Same thing with Jota. That's kind of like too many question marks as we approach it. But yeah, I almost feel like you look at who's not going to the World Cup from them compared to us and try to make some lineups like that, or who could go out earlier and stuff like that. And it's impossible to know because you don't know if Van Dijk is going to be in the final or they're going to be eliminated early and he's going to be heading back home. So it just kind of like depends on who gets eliminated where. So I guess, before we move on to the weekend, let me ask you that then, Kendrick. Does it affect who you root for in the World Cup? That they get eliminated, so they come back earlier. Admit it. It's Admittal Friday.
Well, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that out loud, but even though I support England in the World Cup, I would hope that I would hope that that their run is not so deep. So Trent can come home and start focusing on playing for us. And the other England players, such as our captain, can just focus on just try to right the Liverpool ship. I think I care more about Liverpool righting its ship more than England getting their act together. So I'm hoping that they don't go too deep so that they can come home and focus on getting the Liverpool ship going in the right direction. That is something that I'll say right now.
Okay, that's honest. That's honest. I'll take that. Trevor, how about you? I don't know. Do you have a horse in the race for the World Cup? I mean, obviously you're USA, but in the grand scheme of things, in the future,
and
assuming USA won't be in the final or something like that, who would you want?
No, I have zero expectations of that. Getting out of the group, I think, would be a step in the right direction. And if we're going to take EA Sports at their word, they'll make the quarterfinals. Which
and who Argentina wins, right?
Yeah.
And
for some reason they're face. It's
but
a
having
simulation
played
thing.
FIFA all the time
too in
with those glitches, I don't know if you can take any words that they give you.
Yeah, but whatever it is, we talk to octopuses, whatever that is. It's octopi. Bad pluralization. It's early in the morning. Give me something. The
not enough seltzer in the system.
No, and it's with the water. I'm letting Alan down with the with the bad speaking. I think the only team in there that has significant just desire to go deep. I don't think England wants to get knocked out early, but there's so much turmoil within that thing. There's a lot of guys that are just going to be playing to go home more than anything.
Harry Maguire.
Seeing him yesterday,
Brazil is the only team that I think when Allison's going deep into that, but we have Kelleher for that tournament anyway, so I think that kind of rules that out. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah, this is
play
a
as
real
long
World
as you
Cup
want.
for me. I don't even know if I have. Now that I asked the question, and ever since I asked the question, I'm trying to think of my answer, and I have no idea. I really don't. I mean, normally, like I say, growing up as a kid, since Turkey rarely makes it over there, I've always rooted for Brazil because I just like how they play the game. But I can't root for a team Neymar takes part in.
Now they've turned against you.
Yeah, so they've gone onto the dark side with all these people, so it's kind of hard to root for them. So I usually will probably do when I turn on a random game, no horse in the race, but somewhere during the game, I'll find number 11 annoying from one team, or they get robbed by a call and suddenly I start rooting for one side. So that's probably how the entire World Cup is going to pan out. Down the road, I'll probably pick a horse to go to.
I'm just seeing an alert here that the Spanish team was announced and there's no Thiago in that team.
Yes, Alan was actually throwing the headline out there, and that's not a surprise though, really, for the most part, is it? I think they've kind of moved on from him, which is probably. I think he would be content with that. I don't think he's as devastated as, for example, Bobby is. I think he is been there, done that, kind of an ordeal maybe for him. It's probably good.
And if he's honest with himself, his form has not been great over the past 2 years. I mean, Thiago, I love him. He's a great player, but he's yet to hit the heights that we expect him to hit since he's been at Liverpool. And I know he's a great player. I mean, his skill sets are awesome. But I think in terms of what he's achieved on the pitch, I'm not talking about silverware. I'm talking about how he controls the games. He hasn't done that enough, because I think he spent too much time on the sidelines getting treatment for injury. Maybe that's the problem. But I think he needs to really stamp his class on this Liverpool team. And the team is tailor-made for him. I believe that he should just, now that he's out of the squad, just focus on taking Liverpool to the next level. I think he can do it. He's totally talented enough. And I think him being left out of the Spanish squad will allow him to just focus on Liverpool and do what he does best.
Yeah, I think in an ideal world where you have a midfield, he would not play like 90 and he would give you regular 45 minutes, 60 minutes appearances of controlling the game and playing 100%. I don't think he has enough legs to go the standard that he has set for 90 minutes anymore. In an ideal world, I think you would get like your 45 minutes from him, either control the game or take him out or put him in afterwards to close it out or whatever the case might be. But here's a headline we were talking before going on air.
Oh yeah.
So Sadio Mane is going to the Met World Cups. He's in the squad, even though he's injured. And FIFA journalists say they claim the African country would use witch doctors to help the forwards reach the tournament. So, Trevor, my question to you is: we know Liverpool is looking for a doctor. Are we just looking for the goddamn wrong thing? Should we just get a witch doctor and get it done over with?
Hey,
that's the way to go. Looks like
this is the second time we've featured witch doctors on this program. At least this is it putting them in a positive light this time. We're fair and balanced witch doctor talk.
Oh, they're working for the good. Yes.
It's I don't know. So we were talking beforehand. I'm just glad that Sadio's getting the chance to go, even if he's a glorified cheerleader for Senegal. What he did for that country during qualifying, them, even if it's something where just kind of like a honorary thing, him going over there and being part of that squad and like walking out with them and doing all that and being an ambassador is really important to him, and I think is a great gesture. If for some reason that they put a expedited status on these spells and he's able to go, I really want to just, it would be great to see him make that miraculous comeback.
Yeah, it's like the express witch doctor. Can we get the express spells? But here's the thing. I mean, I almost feel like Kendrick, like he's going there similar to how Henderson is going as England, almost like an honorary captain and somebody who's gonna. For Senegal, I think in some ways it's a good decision. He is the face of your country in the football world right now, of the team overall. He's your captain. He's your guy, kind of a thing. Well, he's not the captain actually. Koulibaly is the captain, I think, right? But instead of getting a guy to replace him on the squad that you're more than likely not going to play at all, because obviously he's going to be your like fifth, sixth choice forward, it makes a lot more sense to take the guy that really deserves to be over there, represents the country. He's your kind of like part of like your team captaincy as a leadership, right? Not to mention get Sadio, who kind of brought you to the World Cup in the first place, to the World Cup.
I think whatever the officials there in Senegal decide to do, I'm on board with. Sadio deserves to, as you said, he deserves to be there. He deserves to walk out in those stadiums with his teammates that they fought so hard to get through to this level. I think they'll probably put him on the pitch, even if it's just for 5 minutes. At the end of him, probably after the group has been decided, they probably put him on the pitch for a few minutes just to have him get that honor. I think he deserves that honor. I think he's been just a wonderful ambassador for Senegalese football, and he deserves to be honored accordingly. So I'm looking forward to him walking out on that pitch with the rest of the teammates.
Yeah, Sparky says it's called painkiller injections, but I mean, it sounds like they would have to like numb him out, and it's kind of hard to play like that. Those are just regular doctors, Sparky. This is just witch doctors.
Whoever you draw
this is science we can't understand. We're not ready for it yet. And now Sparky says, I root for whoever I draw in the sweepstake. I'm not involved in one of those. Maybe we should do one with American Scouser, but knowing me, I'll probably pull a shit team that's going to be out in the first round anyway. So I'll have to go back to my regular scheduled programming for the next rounds. So speaking of next rounds, last game, Southampton tomorrow. Trevor, we talked about it. I think it was yesterday that one of the positives from the game, the cup game, was the fact that we will have a rested midfield to face Southampton. What do you think? What are you looking forward to? What kind of a lineup do you think we're going to end up having?
I think we're going to get the the normal defense back at least for one more go, and we could see a kind of a mix in the midfield because that's not really Southampton's strong suit outside of like Ward Prowse. They got a lot of guys that are still trying to like find their feet, and you could probably sneak uh, a Bacitic in there if you wanted to, or I don't know, maybe give everybody's favorite Curtis Jones some run in there if you
Where's
really wanted
Ox?
to.
Where is Ox? That's everybody's
Hey,
favorite. Well, that's my favorite.
yeah. Unless you change your name on here to everybody, I think you're flying solo with that one. And everybody's favorite Curtis Jones was uh, a bit of a just sorry attempt at sarcasm at 9:22 in the morning Eastern. But yeah, it's. I think the midfield is something where they can kind of take some risks. They don't really need to go super strong and then go with that into the World Cup. Oh, geez.
That one says Ox shaped
Don't come with
physiodrome.
a
I hope to God he
slander.
didn't get injured after that game. I don't think we would see him. Sparky says, actually, this is interesting, and I'm leaning towards this based on the substitutions we did. Kendrick, who do you expect to see in the midfield tomorrow? I think we're probably all agreeing on the back line, especially they're all going to be rested, including Alisson back there. So the back five is pretty much set. Who do you put in the midfield? Do you throw Hendo out there, or do you pick Elliott over Hendo, kind of like what Sparky did here?
Elliot plays. I think what Sparky says is spot on. It's going to be Thiago, Fab, and Elliot. I think that's what we need to do. Right now, to have Fabinho and Henderson together, that's a two defensive lineup for a game against Southampton. I don't think we need the second cover there. We already have a wonderful CDM in Fabinho, and I think having Elliot play that free role and be able to attack is better than having another player like a Henderson who would sit deep and try to protect the back four, which we already have in Fabinho. So I think Sparky's right. I'm with Sparky on that.
Does that kind of scare you, though, again, Trevor? Because now we're back to our initial problem of having Elliott on the same side, probably as Trent, and defensively kind of have a horror show back there. I think one thing I like about Henderson in these games is how fast he moves the ball against teams who sit back. He's the only one that switches wings a lot faster, aside from apart from like Trent and Robo switching it to each other. I feel like Hendo is the only guy that does that fast. Because while you get those diagonals from Van Dijk or sometimes Thiago, it feels like they're on the ball a lot longer, whereas Hendo's comes a lot faster. But I agree with what Kendrick is saying too, where it will be, to me, Fab is the number one set there in some ways. So it'd be Thiago or Henderson, and probably starting with Thiago is better, or starting with Hendo is better. Trevor,
I think if
your battle.
Yeah, if you're sending Henderson to the World Cup, I think Thiago, this is a spot where he kind of just needs this for himself, and I don't foresee that being a thing where if he was pulled out at the hour mark for Henderson, as that being like a closer swap that we talk about, that I think that would work. Let Thiago get Southampton's best for 60 minutes, hopefully get a couple goals out of it, and then have Henderson come in and shut up shop with Fabinho. I would not have any qualms about that at all.
And I'm assuming, Kendrick, the front three is the only attackers we have healthy, right? Nunez, Bobby. I mean, it's just
Picked by default.
Yes, picked by default.
Selection. Okay, if I told you to pick one guy out of that three that's key in this game against Southampton, who would you pick?
Oh, Bobby, hands down.
Really? Okay.
Yes. I mean, Bobby's ability, Bobby's creativity, that how Bobby plays to be able to bring the midfield in and to link with the his supporting strikers, whether it's going to be Nunez and Salah, the way he just holds the ball up just right, not too long. There's something special about him, which I'm surprised that Brazil did not take him to the World Cup, but their loss is our gain. So I think if Bobby has a good game, Salah scores a hat-trick.
See, I like that logic, because you can have Mo have a good game and score 2. But when Bobby has a good game, there's a big chance that everybody else is automatically having a good game, right, Trevor?
Exactly.
See, I'm like a big Bobby guy. Like if Gally was here, he would say the opposites. We always like talk shit about that. But Sparky is already calling the prediction. So 3-1. That's Sparky's picking my
We got
line.
5 more minutes of content to fill. Come on, don't force my hand this early.
Well, yeah, you must be seeing my mug. It is almost empty over here. But some of us are not drinking water, people. Got to keep the filling the mug over here. So go with your prediction, Trevor. What do you expect to see tomorrow in the game, and as a final result at the end?
Now I can't go with 3-1 because it's just plagiarism. So
I
I'm
thought you
gonna
had
go.
no shame, man. See, I have no shame. I'm gonna go with 3-1.
I'll go 4-1. I'll up it a bit. I'll take Kendrick's Mo hat trick, and I'll put one for Nunez. There we go.
So you think you
Ward-Prowse
guys?
will get a
See,
free
you
kick
guys
though
are
because he's
scaring
a
me because
monster.
whenever we do these pods, like before the game, and everybody is like, "Oh yeah, it's gonna be an easy one," it always comes back to
No,
bite us in the ass. So you're expecting kind of like an easy, not easier, but I guess opening them up.
Southampton's just a team right now that I don't think they know what they want to be, and that's kind of why they sacked their manager now instead of waiting because Hasenhüttl was able to kind of just bring those guys up from the depths last year out of just sheer enthusiasm and just really I don't know just go acting more like a general than a manager, and that's fantastic. If you in those types of moments, you kind of need some guy like that, some guy that's just gonna like make everybody want to run through a wall.
Right.
That's great. But then when things come back down to earth the next season, and you're trying to put an actual system together, and you're putting a lot of young players into place, especially that poor goalkeeper, Bazunu. That kid is left out to dry so often, but that's something where you got to take advantage of it from our end.
Speaking of taking advantage, do you think this is the right time for us to make another raid on the Southampton squad? Do you think we need to do that again now? Because I'm a fan of that guy, Gineppo. I think he's a useful player. What do you think?
I would take. Let's just look at their starters real quick.
Let's shop.
Yeah. Let's go look at the. Let's go look at the shelves and see what they got in stock for this.
Gineppo has caught my eye over the past few seasons because I think as a young player he has some of the dexterity that we would need on the wings. So, and I think that's where we're kind of falling off a little bit. Our wing play is not as, especially since we lost Sadio. Just a player that runs the channel real well. And I think if I can sum up what I believe that has caused Liverpool to not score as many goals, Darwin Núñez is a traditional number 9. And we never played with a traditional number 9 before. The top 3 were pretty fluid and were willing to run. Losing Sadio from that top 3 and replacing him with a more static traditional number 9, it has that's one of the reasons why our goals have dried up. That's one of the reasons. Not that it's a bad thing, because I've always wanted to have that number 9 option. Because Bobby's not really a traditional number 9. Bobby's more of a number 10 or a false 9. So just to have that additional person who can really run the channels and pull defense apart, that's what we're needing. And once we have somebody that can run at the defenders, pull them apart, it creates space for people like Salah to run into and players, so just for our players to exploit. And I think that's one of the reasons why I believe that we could use another winger.
The only thing I would have, and I don't know, I have not watched them enough. I mean, I don't really pick Southampton games to watch if it's like an idle game usually. So unless they're playing one of the big boys, and that's why I'm watching it. While I like him, like attacking wise, I haven't watched him enough to know his defensive rates and it would fit or not. Like I couldn't tell you if it is or not. But looking at their roster, I mean, they took the center back that we were looking at, Kalatakar. I mean, obviously that would be one name that I can see. I don't know. I'm looking around. I really don't see a lot of people that I'd be like, let's go get him from Southampton, and which is probably why they're in the States that they are.
The only people I'd want from that team all have hyphenated names: Kalatakar, Belakachap, and Ward-Prowse. if you don't have a hyphen in your name, you can stay on the team. I agree with Gineppo, but he has to go fourth on the list because he doesn't have a hyphenated name.
That's true. Gotta get something. Maybe he'll get married or something. We'll try to figure something out for him
Yeah,
for him
be
to
real
improve his
progressive with it.
chances.
And
So do you
let-
think change of
go ahead.
manager makes a difference for them, Kendrick? For Southampton, how they're going to show up, or kind of like what Trevor's saying is too short of a time to have any manager make an impact, except to press the reboot button where the hard drive works a bit better because there's not a lot floating around.
Well, a change of manager always causes some form of some immediate positive change in form, because the players that are there want to impress the new guy, so they will run through walls. They'll walk on water. Something that they never did for the old guy, they'll do it for the new guy because they want to keep their spot in the squad. And they know that this guy is going to come in, this guy is going to be given some mandates to make some changes, and they want to stay. So it normally coincides with the uptick in form. Will that last? That is to be seen. So they may have 2 or 3 good games immediately after a change of manager. And if the quality is as poor as we suspect, then they'll quickly return to earth.
Yeah, unless they get more hyphenated guys, that team is not going anywhere. It looks like. Yeah,
that should be their thing. The Wolves has all the Portuguese guys. Southampton, just make your team entirely hyphenated names. It'd be a good gimmick. You would get more money in shirt sales because everybody would have to do the extra letters, and they would have to like spend an extra 10 quid on each jersey. It's marketing, and your best players already have hyphenated names. So I think it's a
actually
good
want
gimmick.
to see this.
It's better than what they're
FIFA.
doing now.
I want to see this in FIFA 24, as if you have guys hyphenated in Ultimate Team, you build better chemistry because they all have hyphens or something like that. This could be a new thing that you're like, okay.
Speaking of hyphenated names, do you think Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, one with an hyphen, will return to that club? Because that's where he started his career, in Southampton.
Hey, swap deal. Hyphenated name for hyphenated name.
Eventually,
I think it's the only fair. If they're going to give up a hyphenated name, they got to get one back.
And I think, honestly, I think at this stage of Ox's career, he could really do well with more playing time. Because for me, I understand that injuries are what they are, but some injuries you only get over by playing, as weird as it sounds. Because if you're trying to rehab and you're not playing, the rehab tends to be longer. Some injuries, that is, not all injuries. Some injuries, you get over it faster by actually getting playing time. And him sitting on the bench for long, protracted periods doesn't really help him. He needs some playing time to get in shape and to maintain his fitness so that he could really do better. So maybe a move back to Southampton is probably not a bad idea for Ox. And maybe we could get a few of those hyphenated names coming the other way.
Yeah, I mean, his contract is up, right? I mean, that's the thing with Ox. We talked about in the preseason, and it sounded like we were okay to let him go. He just he had confidence in himself to kind of get healthy and work himself way in. But more than that, I think he liked his wages way too much and did not want to go to a team like, let's say, Palace or, Southampton or any of those guys and take less wages but get more playing time. So, but I can see him once he gets his contract run out, but I don't see us getting any hyphen.
It would be a good spot for him.
I think so, yeah. I mean, it would kind of make sense too. It wouldn't be as, disappointing to go back to your, old home, coming back home kind of an ordeal. But so before we go, Kendrick, let me get your prediction and let you slip by. What are you expecting for a scoreline tomorrow? Oh, your mic is off.
You're muted.
That is a good trick, though. You're like, and now you can say I called it.
So, so since 3-1 is already taken, and I want to be optimistic today. Today I'm bright siding, so I'm gonna go with Liverpool 4, Southampton 0.
Oh,
damn, that's like a long bad. See, no shame in my game. I'm doubling up on the 3-1 over here. I feel like they will probably get one out of a Prowse set piece or something like that. I can see that happening, or on a counter. But I think we do open it up. I'm just hoping we get an early goal and kind of open up this game, and I'll be okay with a 3-1. So as long as Alan has the 4-1 going as well, he's doubling up on your prediction. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's
and
no
by the way,
dibs and predictions, man.
by the way, guys, when you're putting in that bet slip, remember that I said Mo Salah hat trick. Remember that as well. Yeah.
Oh, I will give proper accreditation. Don't worry.
Well, gentlemen, thanks a lot. And thanks to all those for listening. Kendrick, thanks a lot for coming on, sir. We hope to see you regularly over here. And then we will be back tomorrow for the post match. Hopefully, talking about this 3-1, 4-1 win or Mo hat trick or whatever the case might be. We'll see you guys then. Have a great Friday and an awesome weekend. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.